because I can remember a particular customer owned a cheese shop. We would connect every once in a while. I'd come help out with what they were doing. And he would always say to me, well, they're coming in anyway. Right. He had a little bit of an arrogance too. They're in the shop. They're coming to the shop. They're going to be here. It's like, why do I need, I was like, okay, all right. Well, you could also get more people to come in and, whatever. During the pandemic, guess what? Nobody was going anywhere. They figured out to do curbside pickup with things, blah, 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 blah. I got a text message from him and he's like, I get it now. This was the only way people had to communicate with the people that were important to their business.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Small Business Success Talk. I'm your host, Christy Smallwood. Welcome to a really cool, special, exciting, super exciting episode for me. Because here's the thing. I've been doing this show for a while. There's parts of it that's been inconsistent. Do I have a million followers? No. So we're a small show, but I have very loyal listeners, and I appreciate that tremendously. And we're a niche group, all that good stuff. All of that to be said, while I am not like a Mel Robbins or a Mayim Bialik or like and yet they reached out to me in this show, which to me that's the cool factor. Okay, so let's just take a hot second to celebrate. I have a small cool factor now, very tiny but small cool factor. That Constant Contact reached out and wanted to have a conversation. Well, fantastic. I love that. And yet, I'm like, I don't sell on the show. They're like, that's not what the show is about. But here's the thing. I was able to get a raw conversation with Dave Charest, who is the Director of Small Business Success at Constant Contact. And that conversation, we talked about not only because I had him share his story too. I'm like, how did you choose? How did you get there? Like, I want to know. And to hear somebody so on fire that works for a larger company, but on fire for small business, I don't get that real often. I get plenty of conversations with those bigger businesses, and they're like, yeah, we want to help and we're going to sell you this. And that is not at all Dave's approach. Very appreciative. He was so respectful. I loved this conversation. And just to really jive about how important email marketing is. So not just the cool factor of Constant Contact, but we got to talk about email marketing and all the things you really can do with email. And no, email is not dead. And yes, I did ask him that question. So without further ado, let's just dive right in to my conversation with Dave Charest, Constant Contact. Dave, thank you so much for being on this episode of Small Business Success Talk. You are going to be one of my experts because you work at a place that is really good for small business owners. And don't you specialize in like helping small business owners do what they need to do with your company?
I do. I do. Yeah. So, Christy, first off, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and love the opportunity to chat about things that can help small businesses be more successful and grow. And yeah, so I work at a company called Constant Contact, who many may have heard of, but we're essentially an online marketing platform built specifically for small businesses. So these are tools you don't necessarily need a marketing degree in order to use, built for the folks that are business owners first, marketers by necessity, I like to say. I've been with the company for over 14 years now. So really going at it. And really, my whole career has been focused on helping small businesses make sense of online marketing and figure out the things that they really need to do and kind of block out the noise so you can actually focus on things that actually move you towards reaching your goals. There's so much advice out there, and there are so many tools available, and so many things out there that are just really overwhelming for small business owners. With all of the other things on top of the marketing bit and the pieces of the things that they actually enjoy to do, that are vying for your attention. And so it's really easy to get lost in all the noise and feel like you're spinning your wheels. And so really, it's all about just helping folks find what's right for them, and taking advantage of, in particular, when you think of the day and age that we're in now, with social media, for example, um, really a tool like email marketing, for example, comes in and allows you to have some ownership over those relationships that you have, where you're not at the or beholden
The
to the
mercy of
beck
that
and whim.
platform who decides they're going to make a change and no more,
Exactly, right? You're not at the beck
right?
and whim of that algorithm all the
Mhm.
time. And so, again, I think, and we'll get into this as we talk today, but social media is still a very important channel, but not the end all be all. And I think helping people find the direction and figuring out what to do is what we're all about.
So I love to get people's origin stories, by the way. So
Sure.
tell me, how in the world did you get into this mess?
Yeah, well, interesting one actually. So, funnily enough, I was living in, so I'm in the Massachusetts area now, so I'm about a half hour north of Boston, and I spent some time. I spent about 15 years living in New York, and I went to school for theater actually. And while I was putting myself through school, I was working at a small physical therapy office, so a small business, and I started working the front desk there. And while I was there, I actually ended up kind of moving up. And next thing you know, a few years down the line, I graduated school, but I'm now like the practice manager. Like I'm doing insurance billing for a living, and
That's a big
right,
removal
yeah,
from
yeah.
theater.
And so my wife actually ended up working there for a while too. So we were both there, and it wasn't something that I enjoyed doing, if I'm being frank, Christy. Right. And so, I mean, insurance billing is, really, really gets the juices flowing. But it just got to a point where I think, like a lot of small business owners, right, you get to a point where you've had enough and you've got to figure out something to do. And it was at a time where kind of like the online marketing piece was a little bit different than what we're seeing here today, but it was like
Yeah.
all of this social media stuff was exciting. And I've always kind of been like, even in high school, for example, it was part of a marketing, club in high school. And I've always kind of liked marketing. And so I started really getting fascinated by kind of the possibility with online marketing and what that meant for not only just being able to connect with people in ways that we'd never been able to connect with people before, but even just like what that means. And again, I had my theater hat on at the time, but I started thinking about like, oh, how could people in the theater community use this to help market the shows that they're producing and do all of this? And so I got really into it and I started teaching myself how to do all of that. And so this got us to the point where I was like, okay, Sunday morning or Sunday would come around and my stomach would be in knots because I had to go to work on Monday. It was one of those situations, right?
Yeah.
And finally, my wife and I we had twin girls at the time, so they were young, but it got to the point where I was mean and being nasty to them for no apparent reason. I was like, look, I can't keep doing this. And my wife had the opportunity to go full time for work. I was like, all right, you do that, and I was doing that before. Like, you do this now, and I'll stay home with the girls, and I'll work on this thing on the side. And kind of started my own. At that time, I was doing more copywriting and email marketing and those types of things. And I recognized very quickly I really loved what I was doing. I was good at what I was doing, but it was the running the business part of it that didn't really fit my personality so well. And so I always have nothing but the utmost respect for the people that actually can make that work. But it wasn't the thing for me, right? And so I started figuring out like, okay, well, what can I do with these skills that I do have? And my wife and I had made the decision that, maybe it's time for me to look for something. And we were thinking about coming back to the Met because my wife was born and raised in Brooklyn. We were out in New York, and we are like, well, maybe we come back to the Massachusetts area. And it was out of that time I found this job listing as I was looking for something to do. And I had come across Facebook, funnily enough. A friend of mine who I went to college with worked for this company, Constant Contact. I was like, oh, I know Constant Contact. I was like, that's actually something that would be interesting. And I went over and I looked at the site and I saw that there was this job opening for a content developer. So it was one of those situations that was like, dear Dave, do you do these things? And I was like, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, I do those things. So I was like, this would be amazing. And because I was like, I would really love the opportunity to all of these ideas and these things that I've been implementing on a small scale to be able to really put that, with somebody that had a big market share, right? And really kind of
Right.
put those into practice and see what really works, right? And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, do you know if this is still open? Put me in touch with the hiring manager for that. Had a 15-minute discussion with her. And I got off the phone. I said to my wife, I don't see a world where I don't get that job. Like we just hit it off right away. And within 2 weeks, I had my girls enrolled in school. I was back in Massachusetts, and my wife had to stay because she was teaching. She was teaching college out there, so she had a semester to finish. So we were like, "Bye, we'll see you soon." But came out here, and 14 plus years later, again, my role has always been just how do we educate small businesses and on what they need to do, and what are the meaningful things in marketing that, again, help move the needle, so you can kind of ignore all the noise.
Yeah. So let's get into it then,
Yeah.
because I most of my small business network are not marketers.
Yes.
And it's kind of last on their list. Like they have great ideas, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily know how to implement them.
Yep.
And it's definitely not a consistency. It's not there for them. What they love to do is the thing they're going to do consistently.
Yeah.
And that's where people like me step in, the agency that says, "Hey, I can help with that."
Yep.
And we can do that. And then we have to come with those recommendations. So let's talk to the small business owner who's doing it all themselves.
Yeah.
Where in where in the grand scheme of things does email actually fit?
Mm.
Because, and I asked the question that way,
Yep.
I have even heard in my circles, and I'm like, again, I kind of know the back end of things. I have been hearing for the last handful of years that email is dead. When in fact, thanks for the chuckle. I
Yeah.
know it's not, but why why would people say that? Where does it fit? Like, what do we do to make sure that email's not dead?
Yeah. So a couple of things there. I too have been hearing that. And as I mentioned, I've been working at Constant Contact for 14 plus years. So I've been hearing that since I started there. Also, Constant Contact has been around 30 plus years. So it's
Mm.
really dying a very slow death. There's lots of pain here. All right. But the reality is the reason why people want email to be dead because they want you to pay attention to their thing. But I think time and time again, what we see, and the numbers that you typically see are like for every dollar spent on email marketing, you make $36, right? Your mileage is going to vary. It really depends on the nature of the business. But all that just to say that it's because it's a channel that works time and time again. It proves to work. And I think one of the reasons why that is true is because it's what we call an opt-in channel. And I would love your perspective on this too, Christy. But the reality here is what's happening is when somebody gives you their email address, they're actually raising their hand to say that they want to hear from your business. That's a lot more valuable than somebody you're trying to cold call or, cold email for that matter, right? Like they're giving you permission. And so this is really that permission based channel. And that's why it works so well because it's people that want to hear from you that you're sharing information with. And then now once you have that information, what you do with it, of course, matters. But ultimately, at Constant Contact, we've always viewed it as if you talk to a small business owner and you ask, where do you get most of your business? People will likely tell you word of mouth. Word of mouth, of course, is happening online. But one of the other things that we've noticed is that if you look at where most of your revenue comes from, it also comes from people that are already know you, that are already connected with you, that have been a customer of yours already. And so you spend a whole bunch of time and energy trying to get new people in the fold while at the same time ignoring the existing people that you have in the fold. And email allows you to kind of do both, right? It allows you to pay attention to the people that are already in your network, that have already known you, already like you, keep your business top of mind. So when they're ready for what it is that you have, they will think of your business first. Or if they know somebody who could use the thing that you offer, you will also think of them first, right? And so there's just this the thing with email is if you shift your focus to really focus on those existing customers in many ways, you can actually start generating revenue, which is what we really want at the end of the day, not just a new customer, right? We want revenue. And so if you've got that working for you, it kind of earns you the money in the bank to be able to do those other things and get more people in and do all of those things. And so this is why I think email is just so ingrained in everything that we do that, again, here we are 30 plus years later, still saying like email is okay. All right. Maybe it's not dead, but right. And so,
I am having a flashback.
uh-oh.
And it's like here we are 30 plus years later is like, wait, when was that?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Oh my
I know saying it
God.
makes me want to hit myself in the face too, but also, but I mean, but it, point taken, like it's been around, it's been working. And it's really, I think, the core of any digital marketing strategy is email, because it's about finding your people and moving them closer to you at the end of the day. And email is one of those steps that it's like somebody inviting you into their home in many ways, because they're giving you access to them in a private space, right? Whereas social is all, again, social is important, but meaningful in different ways. The email piece is someone taking that next step. If I've often heard the dating analogy, right? But it's kind of like you're moving closer to developing a meaningful relationship with someone that is that has impact on your business, is really how
Well,
I look at it.
we definitely have that email in the nurture stage
Yeah.
of things. So this is where you're right. You're having a whole different conversation. There's the cold emails, but them moving along this buyer path,
Mm-hmm.
email serves to help nurture that relationship. And you can go deeper and they can reply directly. Like you can have real conversation back and forth
Yeah.
versus the pray and spray method of advertising and social media and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of different tactics that you have to do. I noticed in your handy little, report
Yeah.
that you have, um, that your respondents had 2 points I think that actually go together. One was at the number two slot, 41% said that email marketing drives the most value.
Mm-hmm.
And then we turn around and 44% of them say that the top barrier to marketing is customer engagement.
Mm.
So email solves that problem though,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So am I thinking correctly that those two like
It's one of those things, right? So again, if we think of the idea that most small business owners aren't marketers, when you start to, it's almost like marketing is like a dirty word in many instances. It's like you say marketing, and you're like, oh, like I saw this all the time when I mentioned talking to theaters in the beginning, and it's funny actually as I think back to this, right? It's like I would say to them, like, no, because all that you're doing is asking people to buy things. And as an artist, you don't like to ask people to buy things. But if you're going to do email marketing well, or any marketing for that matter, what you really should be doing is telling stories. And guess what? As a theater artist, you're great at telling stories. And so if you just flip that a little bit, and I think it's the same situation here, is that business owners hate marketing, but if you ask them to share their story with you, right, the
in
whole
a
demeanor
heartbeat?
changes, right? And that's
Yeah.
ultimately what you're trying to do from a marketing perspective with these tools, whether that's social media, whether it's email, or being face to face with people. You're sharing your story, and constant contact is a tool that helps you share that story and get seen by the people that are meaningful to your business. And that's ultimately, if you shift that, it opens up the possibility for it, right? And so that's just it, right? How do you use that tool to share your story, and how do you do that in a way that makes sense for you and your particular business and the goals that you're setting? Because I think this is the other mistake I think a lot of times people will fall into, is that everybody's got an opinion, or the thing that you should be doing, right? And I'm always telling people to be very wary of people telling you what you should be doing without asking, what are you trying to do first?
Thank you.
Right? So we all
I
have
mean, honestly, I
access.
don't care what industry you're in. I'm in a
Right.
lot of different groups and they all love to tell me what to do.
Yep. Yep. And you're like, okay, all right. But look, we all have access to the same tools. How we use them is what changes based on what it is that we're trying to do. So, yes, there may be some fundamentals that you'll want to take into play and into account, but ultimately, what you do is going to be based on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And that's just it. I mean, these tools, that's what's exciting about these tools in many ways too, because they can all be used to help you accomplish what those goals are. It's just you have to start there, right? So you develop the right strategy to then execute against. And I think that's where a lot of people fall down, because you're getting just a piece of the story. You need to be on TikTok. All right, I'm on TikTok. The hell do I do on TikTok now? Right. Like, and then you're
Now
like, oh,
what?
I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and like nothing's working. Well, of course not, because you're not doing anything with any purpose. You're just doing things to do them. And these social channels, I'm sure you know this, right, are very good at making you feel like you're doing something. But if you go over to your bank account, you're like,
Or
I haven't
nothing.
done nothing. Right. So you really need to get more pointed with what it is that you are trying to do. So you are moving that in a direction that's helping you achieve something that you're trying to achieve with your business.
I know when I work with people, that the easiest way I can explain it is when you're doing social, it is social. Social is called social for a
Hmm.
reason. So consider it an extension as if you were on the trade show floor. How are you having those conversations
Yeah.
to get people's attention and awareness to bring them into the booth? Once they're in the booth, now you need to grab those leads and nurture them, and that becomes the email campaigns.
Yeah.
So it's one feeds into the other, one is supported by the other, but understanding what like you said, what is the purpose for using this particular
Yeah.
tactic? Because if it doesn't support the path or what you're trying to accomplish, it's a nix, no go. Don't do that. I can be on. I just watched another video from Gary Vee
Mm.
yesterday, and he said he put on the screen he's on his he and his I can't even say this sentence. He and his team put out
Oh
412
yeah.
pieces of content
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
per day, per day. That is
Yeah.
not even, and it's across multiple channels. And I'm thinking, holy crap, just trying to manage one as a business.
Yeah. But that's their job, right? I think we need to put this in perspective, because I love Gary Vee and I love what he's
Oh,
doing. And
absolutely.
if I were his marketing, right, like, yes, that makes sense, because my job is to be the marketer. Right. But
Yes.
the guy that owns a bake shop, his job is to make the muffins and let people know that I have muffins, right? Like, so that's where you have to, I think we get seduced and we get intimidated too by the numbers that we see and the things that we see that like feels like that's mean, again, that nothing that we see is real, right? In those instances of so many times, right? But our human nature makes it thinks it is, right? Because the numbers look big, and like those public actions feel meaningful. And like, look, I've personally had posts on LinkedIn, for example. LinkedIn is where I spend a lot of time, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about why I say that's where I spend time. I choose to spend time there. But I've had posts that got lucky, went viral, had over like 40,000 views on it. Nobody followed me. Nobody DM'd me. Like, nobody did anything that I can point to
You
that was a
need,
benefit, right? Right.
right? Yeah.
But I've had posts that have had 300 views or 1,000 views, and I've gotten a handful of followers. People have joined my email list, right? I've had people, right? And so it's really like you get seduced by like, ooh, that's good because it's more, but it actually isn't. This is why I say the social channels are very good at making you feel like you're doing something, because you're like, oh yeah, look at that, look at all these impressions, and a lot of times that's not the actual important thing. And so
Yeah.
yeah, and then when you mentioned social being social, one thing I wrote a note here because I wanted to mention this. I think we need to get out of this mind frame of social being. I think it's to a lot of businesses that means posting, and there's a big
Yes.
difference. I would actually say you could actually go on a social channel and not post at all, but instead go engage in comments and engage with people that are in the audience that you're trying to reach. That would be more beneficial to you than posting, right? Then there's also posting with purpose, which I think
Yep.
is another distinction. Again, this gets us back to that idea of knowing what it is you're trying to accomplish, right? Because that's just it. So people go on there and again, they're just doing the actions and hoping for something to happen versus saying, I'm here today to do this. And if you focus on those engagements and making those connections and then posting with purpose, that's at least going to allow you to learn something about what you need to shift or change versus just kind of seeing what happens.
I there was I've always had I've always had some favorites of executed work. I
Mhm.
try not to say favorite clients, but this is some good stuff. They were local. He has since followed his own strategic plan, retired out, sold it. They moved to a different city. Charcoal and More. And they were all things barbecue,
Okay.
competition barbecuers. So a
I'm
couple
gonna get
times a
hungry.
year, we would have a 9-time world champion come in and teach
Mm.
us all things barbecue. We would eat, and it was fire and food for 2 days. And I, I'm no fool. I know men love food. Anything over the fire and the grill. So
Shut
the
your mouth.
and I literally so just seeing pulled pork,
Mm.
just that the steam coming off of it and the
Oh
fire
yeah.
in the back, right? You're already like salivating.
I'm like, we were gonna have to end this early, I think.
That's one of the like cutting through the prime rib and
Yeah.
just seeing the juices flow. Like that's content that's purposeful with a hey, sign up for our email newsletter so you're first to get the next spot in the barbecue boot camp.
Yeah.
It moved them off, but that's the thing that got the attention, and that was a very purposeful post.
Sure. Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's it. It's just I always run through it. I've been fortunate to talk to a lot of small business owners over the years, and also speaking to folks like yourself that are helping with the marketing and doing those types of things. And I always talk about this idea of review, plan, execute, right? Take a look at what you're doing now, uh, get some baselines in place, like what's working, what's not working, figure out, okay, what is my goal right now? And look, know that these goals are going to change because your business changes, right? Like at a certain point in your business, these are the immediate priorities. I need to do this. So those are your goals for that time period. Once you hit them, guess what? Rinse repeat, right? You got to review it
Yep.
again and say like, okay, what do we need to do next? So review, plan, this is what I'm trying to do, and then execute that plan. And I think along the way, we mentioned kind of consistency early on in this conversation. I think consistency is probably the number one word we need to understand with marketing, is because that's what it is. It's about being there consistently and showing up and building the trust of people have seen you for that long. Be there, right? But
Yeah.
the other piece of it, the reason you have that consistency is because you put the time in the calendar to do the work. And I think this is one of the challenges right now. And one of the things we're working towards at Constant Contact to try to even help alleviate that. And I'll tell you a little more about that in a second. But that idea of, look, as a business owner, you know what's going to happen. You're going to, like, even if you're listening to this right now and you're going to be like, oh, Christy just said the most amazing thing, and I'm going to do that. And then you're going to take out the headphones, and then the phone's going to blow up, and then you got to go take out the trash, and then you got to go do something else. And then you're going to be like, a week from now, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that thing, right? You have to
Yeah.
put time in the calendar to say, all right, if it's 15 minutes, put 15 minutes in, and this is my time to take an action in marketing. It's my time to do something, because over time that builds up, but you have to give yourself the space to do it, because something's going to pull you out of it if you don't. It's like a non-negotiable time that you have to have. Now, let me come back to the constant contact piece here. Like, look, we get it. And I think we're in a different world right now. Like now we have access to AI, right? Which is a lot of our tools are underpinned with this. And there are some places where you're using it specifically and you are, and there are other places where we're applying something that you don't even have to see, right?
I was going to ask, how does that fit in to the constant contact tools?
Yeah. So when you think about the ways we see people using it and how it's in the tools now, it's about creation on one level, right? So blinking cursor problem, if you're not a marketer, okay, what do I say? How do I say that? Right? We have tools that will help you, like, hey, what are you trying to do? You get a promotion, you're trying to sell something, you're trying to get people excited. What type of tone do you want? You could write having a sale on iced coffee. It will then go broop, and then write something for you, like, hey, come in and get refreshed, but like it'll give you the marketing copy, right? And then you can cut and paste that if you want to, or start, make some adjustments to it, whatever. So it helps you get over that portion of it. The other places AI is coming in, and again, this is what we're gearing towards, is like, how do we eliminate the, I want to do this thing, this is the thing done. How do we shorten the gap between those two things? Because we know there are a lot of steps in between that the business owner has to find time to do. So,
Yes.
my next example would be, aside from just content, okay, just sending an email is not going to be the winner of the day, right? It's, you have to do things on social, you have to do multiple emails, you have to do multiple posts, you have to, maybe you have an event associated with something. You can do the same thing. I'm having a something on this date and time. Help me create a whole promotional campaign around it. And then the AI will generate the social posts, AI will generate the emails, the event registration if you have an event associated, text posts that you need to do with that, SMS, right? And then again, you can pick and choose, make changes where you need to, but then get everything scheduled. So now you have a whole campaign in a matter of minutes that, if we're being honest, would have taken you probably months to actually execute against, right? Because you had to come in for each of these things that you were trying to do. I think where we, I think the real value of the AI pieces and the data in the world we kind of see moving forward is with the information that you have and the data that you have, and being able to work as your marketing partner in many ways to analyze that information and then feed you up recommendations on what you should do next, and say like, hey, we've noticed that, this person is really seems to engage with this type of content. Maybe you should send them a deal on this particular product or service or something, right? Would you like to do that? Sure, I would. Okay, here it is. You want to send it? Yeah, okay, let's go. Right? Like, so that's where we want to get to, right? And so it's showing up, and we're doing more and more to help people, again, eliminate the time from idea or even recognizing there's an opportunity to taking advantage of the opportunity. We want to shorten that gap.
I'm okay. I I haven't used that tool in a long time. I haven't used Constant Contact in a while. We talked about this. I confessed before we hit record. That
We're going to
sounds
change that.
amazing.
We're going to change that,
Yeah.
Christy.
New sponsor. The the whole idea of getting, I'm gonna air quote this,
Yeah.
somebody or something, don't care if it's artificial or not, the artificial assistant to monitor movement within the people of the email world,
Yeah.
because that's where we're focusing. So the email, but that person did something and they did it again and they did it again. I'm not going to go in there and look on a, let's just say 5 out of 500 are actually doing something. What do I do with those five
Right.
versus the blanket 500? I don't have time to, as the business owner, to dive into individuals unless I'm having the one-on-one on a screen or and over
Right.
coffee or whatever. So it's like that to me is a whole leveling up of being able to say, get those, hey, Diane really likes this thing that you've got over here. Why don't you
Yeah.
send Diane a little special something something
Yeah.
out of all of this other stuff? I'm like, wow, that level of personalization that I could get within a digital tool is going to be amazing. That's
Yeah.
game changing.
And I think that's the exciting thing about what AI is offering, right? I mean, just even, I mentioned this idea of, between the opportunity and executing on the opportunity, right? Like, in studies that we've done, and we've had some that were more focused on just the usage of AI, and what we've seen is the folks that have been adopting it are seeing better results across the board and whatever the marketing channel is. I posit that this is because of that, again, the opportunity to executing on the opportunity.
Closing the gap.
It closes that gap and allows you to do something. And from my perspective, doing something is better than doing nothing.
Absolutely.
And because you're going to learn from that, whether it works or whether it doesn't. But so many people are on the doing nothing part of this journey because they can't get to that point quick
It's
enough.
it's hard when you don't like. if there's something new, let's just say
Yeah.
they've never used these things before, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You're stepping into this world of, I got to learn something new again, and I don't have time for that. I just need to send
Yeah.
an email. Like,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, and there's places for that too. I think that's the reality, right? Sometimes you just need to send something. So let me send it, right? Like, and again, this is where I feel Constant Contact has for 30 plus years been really focused on the small business, meaning that these tools are designed for you to be able to do it yourself, right? Without having to get the marketing degree, but two, sit down with somebody for 10 hours on how to actually, how do I open the email? Right. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like some tools are great, but they're too advanced for what it is that, like, you need to have a degree in the tool in order to use it. And these are designed to be able to, if you can use a Word document, you can create and send content and
Look,
marketing
I
through
love me a
Constant
good
Contact.
drag and drop tool. So that's one thing I've
Yeah.
appreciated over the
Yeah.
years. Like, oh, look, that's that widget. You do have another in your in the PDF in the report. There is another statistic that I never thought I would see
Mm.
over my years of being in marketing and dealing with stuff, even when I was in corporate worlds, all that kind of stuff. When bad times hit, typically the first budget to go is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Mm-hmm.
I saw that number that that they are increasing. They're planning to increase budgets
Yeah.
in this crazy ass time that we're in.
This
I
is
am so freaking excited. Like, what? First of all, what is happening? I'm like, that's exciting. I'm like, finally, they're getting it. Like,
yeah.
lean into it, not run away. Yay.
Well, interesting story. So that's one of the things that was surprising and not surprising at the same time, and I'll tell you why.
I just want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of our show, 502 Hemp in Louisville and 812 Hemp in Clarksville, Indiana. If you are looking for quality legal cannabis products, they are definitely your source. If you have questions of what would work best for you, their educated staff can help you choose the best product for your needs, like they did with me. I was having some real issues. One, my hormones were raging and I was raging all the time, just not in a very good place. And when I went to the store and I expressed everything that was going on, they asked additional questions that helped them get me to a solution. And the solution meaning better sleep at night, my inflammation's lower. I have been able to just be a better quality of life with my whole mental attitude because these things work great. My preference is the Maria products. That is a special blend that 502 Hemp owners have created themselves. And I use the Ultra Spectrum CBD gummies, the blood orange. It's 1,000 milligrams. Like this is the potent stuff, like meaning it's the highest milligrams I can get, and I need that for what my system needs. You may not need that much. They also have oils. And so I love the full spectrum here as well, but they have ranges and according to what you're looking for to help in your body, they can help guide you in that way. So check them out at either 502hemp.com or 812hemp.com. Or if you're driving by, stop in one of the stores and they will absolutely be able to help you out. There's no need to wait for a medical dispensary to open. They have safe, reliable products now. And if you stop in a store, tell them Christy sent you, they'll give you 15% off. And not only that, but if you order online, 502hemp.com or 812hemp.com, and you put in that discount code of success, you'll also get 15% off. So check them out today. And I very much appreciate them being a sponsor of Small Business Success Talk.
Yeah.
Lean into it, not run away. Yay.
Well, interesting story. So that's one of the things that was surprising and not surprising at the same time, and I'll tell you why. Because you're right. Typically, that's the first thing to go. right? You don't see the value in it because it doesn't give you, because marketing is really about future business, not immediate business, right? And so because you're not seeing it, you think, okay, it's not working. And so I'm going to, get rid of that. I remember, and I think if I'm being honest, I think the pandemic had a lot to do with this because it presented things in a different way to everyone. Because I can remember a particular customer owned a cheese shop. We would connect every once in a while. I'd come help out with what they were doing, and he would always say to me, "Well, they're coming in anyway." Right? He had a little bit of an arrogance too. They're in the shop. They're coming to the shop. They're going to be here. Like, why do I need, I was like, okay, all right. Well, you could also get more people to come in and, whatever. During the pandemic, guess what? Nobody was going anywhere. They figured out to do curbside pickup with things, blah, 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 blah. I got a text message from him and he's like, I get it now. This was the only way people had to communicate with the people that were important to their business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think that opened up a whole different, okay, wait a minute. I can see the value in it because when things are good, things are good. I don't have to pay attention to, right. And then when things go bad, then it like makes you have to reframe and think about how you're doing everything. And I mean, I even think this is why we're also seeing, in addition to, spending more, they're recognizing that's an important, that even when things are kind of shaky or, you don't know what's going to happen, staying visible is really important, right? Because that's going to keep you top of mind. And when people are being picky about where they're spending their dollars, it's likely they will spend them with you because they're thinking about you. But even if they're not spending now, when things do open up, and they do, you're going to be the business that was there, and they're going to be thinking about you first too. And so I think they're recognizing that, and that's exciting. I share your excitement in that because, again, this is half the battle in many
It
instances. Is
is.
like this is important because you're doing this for the future of your business, right? And so,
So as they're
to
increasing their budgets
yeah,
and they're investing in your tool,
yeah,
what is something that, aside from that basic level, I need to send a general email.
yep.
What is something that you've seen by using the tool that's been one of the most effective things for a small business that
Yep.
you think is like, this is cool, this has been spot on, the best thing ever?
Yeah. I think and this is going to be unsexy because I think this is the problem we have with email in general too, right? Like, it's unsexy in many ways, right? It's not like the shiny new thing or this cool thing happening on social where everybody's right. But honestly, you said it at the top of this talk. It's the consistency. It's showing up consistently in the inbox, and it's those two things combined: showing up consistently, sharing your story. That's all you need to do. You're building relationships, and we do business with people that we know, like, and trust. And this is a way for people to get to know you, get to like you, and trust you so they feel comfortable enough to do business with you again or for the first time. And so it just means being there in many instances. And so I say that because you could do that, right? It doesn't have to be this 12-point automated marketing flow with like 17 different, right? Like,
Thank you for saying that because I was hoping
it
that's
gets
where this
so
would go.
complicated, right? But
Take
like, not that those things aren't, those are next
absolutely.
level things though. But I'm a big believer in build the foundation so that you earn the right to be able to build on top of it, right? And those are the kinds of the next level things that you want to do. But I like to give people something to say, like, look, oh, that worked. What else could I do? Right? Versus, meh. Right? You got that kind of motion with it, right? So, first thing I would say is that, I mean, I have some specific tips of like kind of everything and how you kind of, if you want to go through those, but I think that's the number one thing: is just know whatever it is that you're going to do something that you can commit to realistically. I think sometimes too, you hear a conversation like this, you get excited and you're like, I'm going to do all the things. And then you're like, yeah, all right, here we go. We're doing the thing. And then you're like, okay, the first week you're like, yeah. And then reality sets in and you're like, I can't keep doing this. And then you get mad at yourself and then you just stop doing it. Right. And so you kind of have to either, one, hire someone like yourself, which again, is a highly
It is an
valid
option.
option, because right, as long as, again, but the same situation, if you know, like, and trust someone, you need to understand how it works so people aren't trying to take advantage of you.
Hmm.
But go do the thing you're good at and let somebody else help you with the thing, because ultimately that thing should be generating revenue for you, right? So that's cool. Do that. Don't be afraid to do that. And to be fair, if you're going to grow your business in a way you may want to grow your business, you can't be doing everything, right? So that's one side of it. But I think ultimately the end of the day is, if you have to, when you're starting, you have to do something that you can commit to and show up. That's the main crux of this, I think, working at all.
So do you have a rule of thumb about how often to send emails?
So I usually give this equation. You have to think about the nature of your business. You have to think about the audience that you serve with the information that you're sending. And then you also have to think about what is the need for the information. So at a base level, if you don't know where to start, I would say start at the very least once a month, because that's, not too much time in between where somebody's going to forget about you. Like, you're showing up consistently. I would say probably these days it's probably better to show up maybe twice a month at the least. But know that that's a rule of thumb. And ultimately, anything that we say or any marketing tips that you hear are places for you to try something, because ultimately what you want to do is develop your own best practices, because every business is different, every audience is different, and you want to try something to see what works best for you and develop those. But ultimately, the equation comes into situations change. I'll give you an example. We had a Chamber of Commerce customer, and during the pandemic, they were sending 2 to 3 emails a day. And you might say, well, what? That's I would never send 2 or 3 emails a day. That's crazy. Well, yeah, if you're trying to sell bubble gum, it's probably pretty crazy. But if you're a chamber that has local information that you're not getting anyplace else about your business and how it impacts your business, guess what? You're waiting for those emails to show up. Do they still send emails every day right now? No, right? But it all depends on the need for the information. And I think maybe that's the big thing, is we often go to, when do I, as the business owner, want to send an email? I think we're better off in general if we're thinking, when does the person receiving the email need the information? How am I helping them? How am I serving them with what I'm sending? Those are the types of things that allow things to perform in a better way.
I love that. Way back in the day, things did used to flow that, I mean, there were some companies that even I tapped into that flowed like that. Like they would have themes like a Mindset Monday. So you knew that every
Yeah.
Monday
Yep.
that particular thing was going to come out, or you had something on Thursday, like the theme and it would land and it would like the whole association with it. And as I say it, I'm like, Christy, you need to get back to doing that yourself.
It's funny sometimes we're like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Because I think, in so many ways, everything that was old is new again, right? Like, there's not, the thing with marketing is the tools change, but the core tenets of what makes those things work are
That's right.
human,
Yep.
right? And so it's just really, how do I use this tool to be more human? Which again, I think leads me to this place where, with everything being AI and people not taking the care to make them unique versus sounding like everybody else, right? I think the big thing with AI is you shouldn't just cut and paste it. Like, you should make sure it's got your voice and your uniqueness and your point of view in whatever it is that you're sharing, and your brand, of course, right? But it's that um I think we're going to start to shift to this idea. I think this is, I mean, I believe this has always been the case anyway, but you really need to think through experience, and in particular now, what that means from an face to face type of thing. Even if you are a completely online business, what can you do to bring people within that community that shop with you together? Right? Because we're going to start craving that more and more as we get deeper and deeper ingrained into the AI pieces of things happening.
Just had that kind of conversation with a group of HR professionals yesterday.
Mm.
So we all know that the human experience has shifted and now it's shifting back.
Yeah.
So this pendulum of like we've been digital for so long,
Yep.
we've we're but now we have this whole subset generation of people who have no idea how to have the face-to-face
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah.
And so no wonder digital tools are going to work because they don't know how to do
Yeah.
over here. Um, any more tips that we would need to that you want to make sure that we get in
Y-
this particular episode?
Yeah. I'll say three things. One, I think, and you've probably heard this as we've been talking throughout, but like stop trying to be everywhere, particularly when you're first getting started, right? I think the best thing you can do is pick one social channel that makes sense for your business, that your audience is going to be on, and again, try to move those people from that social channel to your email list, so you own that direct relationship.
Which is
But
why you're on LinkedIn so much, right?
exactly. And so, but what you're trying to do here is again show up with intention, right?
Mhm.
Again, that have a plan, what it is that you're trying to do. Start conversations, participate. This is the secret to social media. It's not posting and going viral. It's actually engaging and communicating and connecting with people and building those relationships, right? That's where you're spending your time. That's where it's going to really start to pay off from you. A lot of times, I've heard this phrase a lot lately, is that the magic is happening in the DMs, right? It's like when you
Mhm.
make a connection with somebody and then you're having a side conversation. How many side conversations can you get, right? Because those are the things that move you to that the next level, if they're meaningful, right? Like not just the sales conversations you get, right? Like um
Right.
the other piece I'll say to this is, again, use the AI, right? Don't be afraid of it. Try it and use it to save you time, because it's going to help you get from idea to content faster, right? Something that you can do, and when you get into the data pieces of it, it can help you spot those trends more frequently and faster than if you were, well, let's be fair, you're not going to get to it, right? Because you're doing other things, right? And so
So the tools, I'm like, one of the things that I learned very, very quickly with AI is if I don't know how to do something, I ask it to teach me how to do it.
yeah.
So I'm guessing because I want to say AI is AI is AI, but if the principles are the same, if I'm in your tool and
Mm-hmm.
like, how can you help me? I can just ask it, what are the things that you can do to help me make this go faster or make this better or
Mm-hmm.
whatever? And it should give me
Yeah.
a a set of instructions or a set of points of here's how to really tap into the full potential of what you can do.
Exactly. Yes. Like that's the goal, right? And so varying levels of how you can do that, but you can chat with Constant Contact now, right? And ask it those questions, and it will show you what you need to know to figure that out and move to the next phase.
And then if nothing else, they call Dave.
So it's just funny you say this, because no, I think this is one of the things too that I think is special about Constant Contact that we've always recognized, is that sometimes as a business owner, you got to get something done and you don't have time to figure it out on your own. And what's nice about Constant Contact is I mean, I don't know of many others at this point that you can pick up the phone and actually speak to someone who is ready, like a real person who is
What?
ready to help you. Yes. And so this is something that's always been at the core of what Constant Contact is, and something our, founding members, really recognized, is that point that sometimes a small business owner just needs to talk to somebody. And so we have that available, and that's regardless of what plan you're on, right? Like that's just available to you as a customer. And lastly, I'll just say, like, I think you need to automate some things, right? I think we all know if your business is only working when you're working, that ends up being a problem, right? And so you got to figure out systems and processes. I think it's the same thing with marketing in many ways. Take advantage of automation, right? Think about, setting up a welcome email or a welcome series. Somebody new comes into your list. How can you introduce them to your business and let them know how they can do business with you without having to do anything other than set up this automation, right? How can you even just schedule your social post, right? That you can work within Constant Contact to develop that content and get things scheduled out across different social channels. And then just even simple follow-up things, right? Take advantage of the tools that we have today to build it once, let it run, and let it be working for you, even when you're not working on that specifically. So I think, yeah, I mean, if to sum that up, right, focus on a channel, use the AI wisely, and then automate those things that you're going to be doing on a repetitive basis.
Love it. So, Dave, I'm going to ask you, just like I ask
Uh
everybody that's on, right?
oh.
Here we go. Um, I ask everybody on my show this question because it's important and
Okay.
you're new. I may not ask you if I have you back again because I already know the answer. But what does success look like for you, Dave? What does
Hmm.
that mean for you?
For me, wow. Okay. For me personally, success is a lot of what I feel now. I love what I do. I love the opportunity to be able to share my enthusiasm for what I do and have some great conversations with people like yourself on a regular basis. But ultimately, be able to do these things, travel and meet people in different areas to share this knowledge, and then to see them get excited about it and feel like, okay, I can go do something for my business, which affords me the ability to be in my house right now and hang out with my daughters and hang out with my wife and enjoy what we have. And so to me, that's success. Is I'm not oh no, what where am I now? What am I going to do now? Right. I wake up every morning excited to do what I do because I love what I do. And I get to also enjoy that and get to do things with my family and not be freaking out about
You do work a lot with entrepreneurs, don't you?
it.
Well, I love that. And thank you. And thank you for being not only knowledgeable, but excited about what you do, who you do it for, and who you're working with. And meaning who you do it for is people like us, and who you're doing it with is Constant Contact. So thank you for bringing the good energy today. Great insights. I appreciate having you on the show.
Such a pleasure anytime. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
So I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did because again, he was a total joy to talk to. Very much appreciate all that Constant Contact does for small businesses out there, as well as having somebody like Dave on staff who is passionate about helping small business be successful with that tool to use for our marketing purposes. So thank you so much, Dave, for being on this episode. I got a lot out of it. I appreciated even the conversation around how AI is implemented into it. We all know at this point, almost pretty much every software tool that we use out there has AI built into it. To some degree, you click a little button and it's like, how can I help you today? Well, little Clippy, I don't want your help at the moment. Or is sometimes what I do to myself. I don't even remember. The little paperclip. He's been around a while and now he's back. It's just for all the Gen Xers out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This conversation with Dave really made me um stop to think about my email. I honestly have not been consistent because I have not felt like there's been a lot of things that I could do with my email list, and yet there's going to be a lot of things I could do with my email list. So I encourage you to go dive into your email list as well. There's a lot of fortune in that network that you already have, and use a tool like Constant Contact to make it happen. So with that, thank you for sticking with us in this episode. If you found value in this, please not only like, subscribe, follow, share all of the bells and whistles, but share it with somebody that you know that needs to hear this as well. So appreciate you a lot. Thanks for being part of the community, and we'll see you again on the next episode of Small Business Success Talk.